Hi everybody, great to be broadcasting this morning, and thanks to Shani Fernando, our director. This is number 3 of From the Presses, and this morning I'm talking about the publication of a thesis of mine on St Stephen's School. That thesis was written a long time ago, but there is some interest now in starting the school up again, and some old boys just recently read my thesis and asked me if it was possible for it to come out in print, so it's coming out in print. Very happy for this to have happened, and happy too for to talk about the people who've been helping me get it ready for print, Shani and of course Tony. I'm putting it out as it was written. It's a temptation to try and rewrite it, and I've resisted that. I've really put it out as it was written, and I'm very proud of it as it was written, but of course it was written for an earlier day, and obviously it's dated to say the least. But having said that, it does capture, I believe, the everyday world of the school, and that was what it was meant to do. The thesis was called The Everyday World and Traditions of a predominantly Māori boarding school. And yeah, I think as it stands, it's a fairly good representation. I'm quite proud of the representation of the school at that time. And for people wanting to start the school up again, of course, yeah, I can see that this is interesting. I guess this is interesting, and I'm very happy to be putting it out. So if we look at some of the things that are of interest in it, there's the description of the language world of the school, which of course has been published in various places. I think Peter Ramsey, in his book, The Family in the New Zealand School, many years ago published it. There's the section on gun and dick and so on. And that, in a way, is what the thesis has been remembered for. It's only an MA thesis. I say only an MA thesis because most of the MA theses aren't published. I always thought, actually, and tried mildly at the time, without getting anywhere, that it was worth turning into a doctorate, because I've always actually thought that my St Stephen's Masters was better than my Oxford doctorate. And I've always said that, and there's nothing I could do about that. St Stephen's doctorate had everything that an anthropology thesis ought to have, I believed. It had good field work. I thought my field work was all right. It had very good, I thought, description, and it told a story. It was an ethnography, a proper ethnography from beginning to end. But because it was a doctorate, because it was a master's, I mean, it really got consigned to a margin, I suppose. And there's always been people who've been interested in it. But I've always thought, well, okay, yeah, I went through the numbers, like you go through the numbers, you do your bachelor's, you do your master's, you do your doctorate, then you come home and you get your job, and on and on and on. And that by the numbers thing is wrong, very wrong, and anthropology especially, where you can get it right in your first year, or your second, or your third, or your master's, or your doctorate, or wherever. But if you got it right, you got it right. And we should be big enough, wise enough, and old enough in anthropology to say, well, he got it right, she got it right, he got it right, whatever. Let's roll with that, whether or not it was a doctorate or a postdoctorate or whatever it was. The glittering prizes. I mean, what are we going to do here? I remember giving this closing on this thought. I remember giving at Oxford. We had a very odd thing that happened once, and it was one of the Roger Eust, I think, or one of them, couldn't make it for a presentation for the postgraduate section of the Institute for Social Anthropology at Oxford. And so I got a call at 5 o'clock to give a paper at 6 o'clock. Would I mind coming in and doing something from the thesis? And I remember coming along and giving the gun and dick section of the thesis. I opened the thesis and read from the thesis and closed the thesis and put it down. And there was this kind of silence in the room. It was kind of like, well, of course they all knew it. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew what I was talking about, because they'd all, to a person in the room, been to boarding school. A lot of them, they'd all been to Westminster or Harrow or one of these places, Eton. So they all knew what it was, but they'd never, I don't think, had it described like that. And that always rocked me, because I'd thought, well, yes, I'll go along and teach them the suffix and stand in for one of the, for Roger Houston, I'm pretty sure it's Roger Houston, and go home, yeah, to do what's required and try and talk intelligently after the thing and get on with life afterwards. But I always had the feeling with it that it hit a nerve, and I couldn't figure what the nerve was, whether it was something that I was saying that was really quite weird or quite accurate. So I'll leave you with that thought. And I'm very, very pleased, and thanks again to all the old boys of St. Stephen's who got hold of me and want me to put this thesis out, and I'm very, very proud to. Thank you. Sun comes up on Veronica Bay, full of light on her big red sea. The birds they call the seventh fall on Veronica Bay. And the rocket stands at the end of the bay. And the rocket stands at the end of the bay. Birds they call the shepherd fall out on Veronica Bay. Where I've been, it was all white walls. Where I've been, they were standing in the hall. The birds they call the shepherd fall out on Veronica Bay. And the rocket stands at the end of the bay. And the rocket stands at the end of the bay. The birds they call the serpent fall out on Veronica Bay. I'm not going back to the White Hotel. I know it too long, I know it too well. The birds they call the serpent fall on Veronica Bay. And the rocket stands at the end of the bay. And the rocket stands at the end of the bay. The birds they call the seven falls out on Veronica Bay. The birds they call the serpent fall out on Veronica Bay. The birds they call and the serpent fall out on Veronica Bay.